All right, guys, welcome back to the Parlay Parlor. This is fresh out the freezer, episode 4. Today's Tuesday. We have a pretty decent NBA slate, a lot of games on the card today. Let's start off with a segment that I think will probably start the sprinkle report. I think I like that. It's probably more appropriate than betting record. So in the latest edition of the sprinkle report, another great day. I think first things first, I will mention that I think I'd like that I gave a very sound warning on Trey Murphy. 3 points made. It's a reason why it was a bonus pick. It's a reason why I explicitly stated do not put this in any parlays. Play this only as a straight itself. He went exactly 4 of 10. Almost verbatim of everything that I said initially. Other than that, let's go over to the picks that did have a chance to go through. Well, I guess one more. Michael Porter Jr., late scratch, injury management. He was voided, so you keep the unit, or maybe you put it back in like I did on Luka and was disappointed. In any case, De'Aaron Fox, 35 points, rebounds, and assists. It was getting a little bit dicey. I mean, he did have 18 in the first half, but then just almost nothing in the third quarter. But De'Aaron Fox in the fourth, I mean, it's easy money sniper. He just took over in the fourth. He was getting rebounds and assists. I think he got 3 rebounds in the fourth quarter alone. I followed along with 2 assists with some points. Ended up with a total of 39 or maybe even 40 PRA. I just was happy when I saw that he covered for us. And then John Collins soared over his line. I was a little bit scared about this because I know this was a quote-unquote bonus pick in itself, but I really did like it, and I ended up putting it in my main card for yesterday. It went down to 21.5 PR before the game started at closing. I don't know if that was more of just maybe public reaction to just the Lake show and it being Luka and Dirk Nowitzki gonna be there. But no, John Collins, despite the Jazz getting blown out, he did what he had to do. He almost got 30 PRA. I honestly wanted to do a ladder at that point, but you know what? A win is a win. We went, I guess, 2 and 1. We can consider it, 2 and 1. In any case, we start off with today. We go to Indiana, where we have the Knicks facing the Pacers, and I have an interesting one, honestly. I have Precious Achiuwa under 18 points and rebounds. Unfortunately, this is one that I really wanted to get earlier in the day. As you see, it opened this morning 21 PR, and I think the books just realized that was just a absolutely just bonkers line to offer, and they've been trying to amend it. 19, 18. I think this could drop furthermore. I wouldn't be surprised if I see this at 15.5 or 16.5 by closing. I still think here at 17.5, even though I think it might bump up a little bit more depending on how many people are still going on the under, or people, I mean, if people do flip over to the over. I still think this is a good line. I mean, we look across the last 10 games, he's only done it in 2 of the last 10 against teams that did not have a center. I mean, I'm pretty sure AD was traded or he got hurt. This is like his last game and he got hurt at the Garden. And in Toronto, don't have a center. Jakob Poeltl's been out. I mean, I think Jonathan Mongo and then everyone and anyone who can just get rebounds have been just doing their job for them. So going against a Pacers team that, while I might still be concerned with Miles Turner being a game time decision, and with OG Anunoby still being out, and maybe with Josh Hart being a game time decision, again, he's a power forward. I'm thinking that the likes of, even if it's Thomas Bryant that the Pacers put up at center, him and Pascal should be able to handle Cat enough where there shouldn't be any focus on Achiuwa. He might get a couple of rebounds when Cat's caught up, but I can't see this guy being much of a facilitator. If this was at 17.5 PRA, I would be concerned, and this would be in there for an over, considering how the Knicks play, and just everyone kind of just facilitates and dishes the rock. Some stats that further support this. just the line movement. I mean, it opened up at 21 at this morning, dropped literally a minute later to 20, and they dropped it 2 minutes after that to 19, and then now we got it at 18. I still think it's a good line to take. I think the books open this at a bad line, and this is just a case of them trying to fix that. And it's possible that with the thousands of lines and props available, they're not going to catch everything. I think this is one that they're doing their best to do, but I don't think we have much to worry about. When we look at the applied odds, again, I wouldn't be too concerned about the matchup because the Pacers have had an up and down season. We've seen that they've had the ability to turn it up at any moment. Implied odds, if we look across the season, we're getting almost a minus 1,000 value. Of course, we can factor in that Achua probably started the season hurt, didn't play as much, and then now with Mitchell Robinson coming back into the forefront soon, we can assume this will fluctuate. But even if we look at the last 10, last 5, and head-to-head, and even across the last 2 seasons, when you could say Achua is probably playing more, even though I don't want to stretch that far back, we are getting pretty close to parlay fodder. For us to be getting close to, even odds or something that might be plus money, depending on when you get this, and if they move it down to 16.5, I would still consider taking the under. This is really good. I mean, let's see what we have in terms of the volume that we would need for him. Even if he's getting 12 rebound chances, he doesn't convert them at a high clip. Again, we can ignore the Lakers, we can ignore Toronto, but in average games, he's getting 18, 9, so 50%, 10, 4, 50%. And in terms of field goal percentage, he's not taking up the shots that we need. Again, ignore Lakers and Toronto. There are no centers. He's going to deal with at least Thomas Bryant and Pascal Siakam, if not as well Miles Turner, and in everything the Pacers normally do. They're not a shoddy defense by any stretch of the imagination. So he's not going to be someone that's going to be getting open looks or many looks at all. He doesn't get sent to the free throw line as much. 18 points and rebounds under Precious Achua. I like it. We're going to stay in Indiana. We're going to Andrew Nembhard over 2.5 rebounds. I know you're going to look at this matchup and you're going to be quite concerned, especially when you look at the Precious Achua one beforehand. I do think that when we look at the injury report, Josh Hart, something has to give eventually. I mean, especially right before the All-Star break. He's been on this injury report, I think, for almost 2 weeks straight, this game after game after game, and he has not missed a single minute almost. At some point, you have to think that the Thibodeau minutes will either play its toll or Thibodeau will finally come to his senses and give him a rest. And if that does, this makes this matchup a lot more comparable because now he'll be going up against the likes of maybe Cameron Payne or Miles McBride for rebounds, even against going up with Josh Hart. Nembhard, I'll say here, I think he's a Josh Hart light. He does kind of the same things, nowhere near in the same skill set or in the volume of statistical comparison to Josh Hart. But Nembhard, he's not a bad player. He is a resolute 3-and-D guy. I mean, if we look at the last 10 games, 7 of the last 10, 3 of the last 5, 15 of the last 20. If you look across the season, it's when you stretch it out across the season, now you're getting into more of, variance, but it's still on the upper side of that. When we look at the head-to-head, I want to say we can ignore the majority of this playoff run, especially since both of these teams had a lot of injuries, and it was probably one of the more interesting playoff matchups of last season. Especially that Mother's Day game, I think, when the Pacers just went into MSG and just blew the Knicks out to win the series. In terms of stats that would support this, I just want to look at comparable first implied odds of this. When we look across the season, we're getting pretty fair value to it. But when we look across the last 10 games, it's parlay fodder. Again, maybe the value is coming a little bit closer to it. But the other thing that was really important to me is just the volume in relative shooting guards that have come close to this. Jaylen Brown, more of a small forward, arguably. Maybe he did play as a shooting guard that game if Porzingis started, or Horford, however it is. But then Grady Dick, Jalen Green, Max Christie, 8 of the last 10 shooting guards to face the Knicks have been able to get 3 rebounds. Give me Nembhard on the Pacers to get 3 rebounds. Asher Thompson, I normally don't like spinning the block on picks, especially after they've just hit so soon. But I think this is one that we shouldn't be worried about. Asher Thompson. If you ever see a Thompson, Asher, or Amin, more often than not, there is a prop from them that will cash that night. These guys are just really good. We have his points and rebounds today, over 17.5 against the Chicago Bulls. He did just recently play the Bulls, and I guess, wow, I didn't look at this beforehand when I was collecting my data. He loves playing the Bulls. In the last 4 games head-to-head, he has soared over this 18 points and rebounds line. I think we should ignore the line movement this time around. I think this might be the books. Actually, I just don't know. I don't know why. If he's cleared it every single time he's given it to them at 19, it's open at 19. That's just really weird. Maybe they're going to expect that since the last game that they played was really high, high scoring, but Detroit did blow them out. Maybe the Bulls will come back with a little bit of revenge on a bounce back, especially at home. But the Bulls have been out of sorts. I mean, they were up 24 points to the Warriors on Saturday, and they choked. That was a money line that I almost took, but I was just thinking that, no, there's no way. Maybe the Jimmy Butler show was going to take some time to get the ball rolling. But in any case, let's go and look at the volume that we need from him. In terms of rebound chances, Asher Thompson has one of the highest conversion rates of rebounds in the NBA. I mean, 10, 8, 10, 8, 15, 8, 7, 4. He is getting at least 60 to 62% of his rebounds that he has the chance of getting. And then we look at his field goal percentage. He's giving us enough shots. If we can get anywhere between like 12 rebound chances and then he gets 8 of those officially, we can supplement that with about 4 or 5 shots, maybe some free throw attempts. He does get sent to the line, but he's taking the attempts that we need. He's getting the rebound chances that we need. If we look at the line movement again, I can honestly see this going back up to 18.5 later on in the day once more money gets put onto it. It's early, as you can see, but when we look at similar power small forwards to get points and rebounds against the Pistons and the implied odds that we get for this, it's really good. I mean, if we look at head-to-head, like I said, he loves playing the Bulls. Last 5 games, parlay fodder. Across the last 10, where he stretches out a bit, it becomes a little bit of a long shot. Well, across the season, I mean, the Pistons have been up and down, but now it looks as if they're finally solidifying into a unit that is very much in the run-in for a play-in spot. All right, next pick. Jalen Duren. Well, actually, let me close off with saying those are my 3 picks that I am most confident in today. These are the ones I will be playing separately and parlaying together, and parlaying a watered-down version. Now we come into the bonus picks. This might go into the sprinkle report. This might not. But let's get into it. Jalen Duren, 14 points or over 13.5, however you want to put in. The Bulls, not the best defense to the center position, as much as Nikola Vucevic is good at his offensive output, he's just as bad defensively. For every 3 that he will get near beyond the arc, he will just let someone get a putback dunk on him that he could have easily got the layup for. So in terms of the matchup against Jalen Duren, who's a pretty physically dominant center, he's also one that can get his points through simple putback attempts, which I think Vucevic will struggle against, but he can take a couple field goal attempts to supplement this. If we look at the data that can support this, he does get into a little bit of foul trouble, which I would be concerned about. But again, when Vucevic is not a defensive first, or he doesn't prioritize defending, you can see he stays in pretty decent. He stays out of foul trouble pretty much, more or less. When we look at field goal attempts, he's taking exactly what we need. For a center to be taking 10, 12 shots a game, some of those are going to be putbacks, which we can definitely consider high conversion rates. And then maybe if he has to take a couple from a little bit out, gets those in too, I think 14 points is very doable. This line hasn't moved at all. I can honestly probably see this going to 14.5. I can maybe see it dropping to 12.5. But let's not worry about the line movement. Let's just worry about the volume that we'll get. He does get fouled and he goes to the free throw line a fair few times. He has a very high conversion rate, only misses one a game, or he makes all of them. 85% of his free throws made. 14 points, Jalen Duren, and then some stats I can support in. If we look at similar centers over the last couple of games that have gotten 14 points or more against the Bulls, Quinn Post, Kalen Ware, Jalen Duren, of course, Kristaps Porzingis, Jokic. These are all centers that do facilitate in their team. They start and they have opportunities to score. In the likes of Rudy Gobert, yes, he should score a lot more. We can have an hours-long conversation on Rudy Gobert's offensive output, but he got 15 rebounds. You can see where his responsibility is, and the Timberwolves have like a plethora of options where you don't need to look at Rudy Gobert unless in the most dire of matchups or circumstances for him to need to score. Jakob Poeltl, I think that was the game he actually got injured in. I might be wrong in that, but it was also a huge blowout, so he probably didn't need any. He didn't have much use of him to play the whole game. Yabusele, I remember this game vividly. Joel Embiid played. I don't think Joel Embiid played that well, as you can see that the Pistons won. Tracy Jackson Davis, I mean, he's no longer on the Warriors anymore for a reason. He wasn't getting the job done as a front man. In the front court, I mean. And in Mo Bamba, same thing. I mean, I think he's looking for a team right now himself. In terms of implied odds, we're actually beating some of the value when we look across. I mean, head to head, you can't get infinite value, as I usually say. Last 5 games, minus 150. Last 10 games, minus 150. Last 20 games, minus 150. Even across the last 2 seasons when the Pistons were really, really bad, we're getting this at pretty comparable value. His points and rebounds line is something that if you want to consider in, that is at 25.5, or if you wanted to bet on his double-double, that's probably something I wouldn't blame you to do. I wouldn't blame you if you did either, especially against the likes of Vucevic. It's definitely possible. I wouldn't. Did he get a double-double against Chicago? He did get a double-double against Chicago. So actually, as a bonus pick, I'm going to call an audible here. You can take Jalen Duren at 14 points. You can take him at 26 points and rebounds. Or you can take him at a double-double. All of these have pretty comparable odds. Again, it's a bonus pick. If you do take these first 3 picks, even if they don't hit, these are the ones that I would be parlaying and I will put myself on the hook on if they don't hit. It's a bonus pick. Anyways, let's go off to our final pick of the day. We go to Phoenix, where we have the Grizzlies facing the Suns. Not really much from these two teams in terms of trade movements at all during the deadline or throughout the whole transfer window. In general, I think the Suns were trying to get Jimmy Butler, but he wasn't interested in the project that he had there. And in Memphis, I think they just haven't had the chance to get the show on the road. I mean, I say it regularly. They're a dark horse in the West. But they just, again, from John Morant's disciplinary issues, which it looks, and I pray that he's finally over that, because he is just such a jewel of the sport, a weapon. Everything he does is amazing. If the Grizzlies can get healthy, there is no reason why they can't make a deep playoff run. When we look at the Suns, you might want to say that the sun is set almost. You can say the sun is rising for the Grizzlies, actually, in terms of their playoff hopes and their championship aspirations. While for the Suns, the sun is setting for them. KD is not getting much younger. Devin Booker, it looks like he will be a Sun for life, but at the same time, you don't know what's in his head. You don't know what he wants to do. Bradley Beal, the Bradley Beal project is just simply not succeeded. Things may change, but everyone can agree that it hasn't started as expected. And other than that, they're not a bad team. They're a very serviceable unit. But just the Suns, I mean, they either through a mix of injury concerns from KD or just them not having enough when it comes to facing bigger teams or teams on the playoff stage. When we look at the matchup, The Grizzlies do rank very high in terms of assists allowed. I think it's our very first comparable matchup of the video. Very first comparable matchup in a while, I think, from yesterday, since we went on a lot of picks against the grain, which is perfectly fine. When we look at recency bias, last 10 games, he's only hit it 2 times. Denver Nuggets, I mean, this is a show of the game. And in Brooklyn, everyone goes over in Brooklyn, especially when you beat them 108-84. We look at the last 5, 4 of the last 5, last 20, 16 of the last 20. Can we look at the outliers here? The Wizards, of course. I mean, he went back home. Well, not back home. He went back to the team that he was traded from. Of course, he's going to have a show. And in the Pistons, yeah, Pistons are up and down. The Grizzlies, however, I would ignore these 2 outlier games. Again, he was with the Wizards, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that. First time he played him, only 2 assists. They clamp him down. When we look at the line movement, this is one that the books aren't too sure about. It opened at 6.5. It's dropped down to 5.5. It's back at 6.5. I did see on, I don't know if it was PrizePicks or Dabble, one of the fantasy books, it was even at 7.5, but I think that's just way too high. This is a line that I can even see that they pushed down to 5.5 by closing. And then with Tyus Jones, he either gets his early assist, and if he plays good or doesn't play good, it kind of just goes from there. Devin Booker normally gets the second half assist and the latter clutch time assist. In terms of volume across the last 5 and 10, we have the volume we need. Of course, we can ignore the outlier that was Denver. We can ignore the outlier that was Washington. And we can ignore the outlier. How do you only have 6 potential assists but 7 against Brooklyn? That might be a glitch, or it might have just been a very, very simple pass. Or it could have been a pass that was maybe like a half-court buzzer beater. Probably that's the only thing I can compartmentalize from that. But for us needing under 7 assists, we need him to convert all of his assists at a 100% rate against a Grizzlies defense that is one of the best in the NBA, one of the best in the West. He struggled against the Grizzlies recently, and in the games that he played for them against Washington, I think we can definitely ignore that because someone had to create. Line movement, it was at 7.5, and outlier isn't represented that now, but like I said, I can see it stay going down to 5.5 and staying at 5.5. I wouldn't even be shocked as if there was some injury news to come out, this even drops to 4.5. When we look at the matchup, again, Grizzlies one of the best in the league in terms of defending the point guard position of assist. And if we look at the implied odds, we are getting very good value plus money, and this is parlay fodder. I honestly might want to call another audible. We might want to move Tyus Jones over Osher Thompson. As much as I love Osher Thompson, it has been too soon since I took his points and rebounds. Let's try to get some consistency with giving you a variety of picks, right? So Precious Achiuwa under 18 points and rebounds. Andrew Nembhard over 3 rebounds. Tyus Jones under 7 assists. And then our bonus picks of the day, Jalen Duren, a plethora of either a double-double, 14 points, or 26 points and rebounds. I would say in the order of confidence, I like his points, I like his double-double, and then I like his points and rebounds in that order. What's his rebound? Does he have a rebounds and assist line on Bet365? I don't like Bet365 personally. What's his rebounds line? 12 rebounds. That is, again, bonus pick. Don't look too much into it. And Osher Thompson, over 17.5, 18 points and rebounds. If you have stayed with me through all of this, thank you for watching me and listening to me ramble about bets for the last 20 or so minutes. Like I'll always say, have fun tonight. Best of luck. Play responsibly, and may the odds be in our favor.